So, I have some bad news. I've been sitting on this video for a few weeks now because, I don't know, I guess it's been the least fun to make so far. Usually, I really enjoy going through all my footage and painting a picture for how I made a project, but for this, it's just been a bit of a drag. You know when you're having a really bad few weeks, but you try to stay positive and hold it together and tell yourself, it'll be fine. And it's almost like the universe hears you and says, oh yeah? Hold my beer. And then it all just gets worse. That's what it's been like. One big hold my beer from life. And as you can probably tell from the video so far, one of these hold my beer moments is that, well, we're losing our shop. I'm not going to get into the boring details of the entire process of how we got here, so the short of it is, the company that owns the building that we're in decided that it's not really worth for them to keep renting it out like this, even though they've increased our rent in the middle of our lease multiple times, but that's fine. I'm not bitter. So instead, they're just going to demolish the whole thing and build offices instead. This means that all of us and our neighbors have to get out by the end of November. This has been a really rough pill to swallow for several reasons. One being that there wasn't a huge heads up on this. We were told a couple of months ahead of time that this would be happening, but when you consider that a lot of us were running businesses out of this place, this really didn't give anyone enough time to find many options for a new spot. Ever since we found out, we've been scrambling the entire time, and everything else got put on hold until we were able to find new places. This also means that these said businesses suffered quite a bit. But if I'm being honest, the monetary part isn't even the biggest issue. The reason why this sucks so hard is this shop hasn't just been a place to do woodworking. It's been so much more. At least for me and a couple of other people that I've spoken to. You know that thing that happens when you become an adult? Where you and your closest friends slowly start to see each other less and less until one day you realize that you all have to put in effort to make plans just so you can hang out once a month? I think that happens to most of us as a natural part of life, but a few of us are lucky enough to find a loophole. This place was our loophole. The people that I shared this shop with weren't just my shopmates, but they were a family, and I shared a space with two of my best friends. So after I would normally get off of work and wanted to make things and be productive, I would come here and we would hang out while we each worked on our own stuff and we'd talk shop and bounce ideas off of each other. And very often on weekends, we'd get so caught up on working and hanging out that we would spend the entire night here until it was morning and then it was time to go grab brunch. Everything that I've learned here and everything that I've built was in some way influenced by them. Because everything that I've built, I've talked through with them. And now I won't be able to do that anymore because, and I guess this is why I'm taking this so hard, we didn't manage to find a space that works for all of us, so we are all going to be going our separate ways. Only 4 out of our 10 members are going to be moving together to the new space, but everybody else is dissolving. We tried so hard to find a new space where we could all move to together, but finding something that's big enough to accommodate everybody with so little time to work with just turned out to be impossible. I also kept going back and forth on if I should make the move with the 4 that are staying together, but in the end, I just couldn't justify it. This new place costs almost twice as much as the current one, but is way smaller. And more importantly, it's further away. It's about 15 minutes further. And before you call me lazy, I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that I don't have a car. So this is 15 minutes on a bike. And I already have to bike for an hour in one direction just to get to the current place. So 15 minutes on top of an already hour-long bike ride, just in one direction, I just knew that with that commute, I wouldn't be coming in very often, And so because of that, paying double for rent when I'm going to be using it half as much, it just wasn't worth it. But having said that, I did find a new space. So I'm not completely shopless, and this isn't me announcing the end of my channel. So don't worry. It's just that this new setup will be very different, and it might take me a while before I can actually start making things there. So I'm so sorry. I know that my uploading schedule is already chaotic, but it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. Please, I know I've said this before, bear with me. One day I'm going to get it together. I promise. Maybe, I hope. I promise. Before we pack up and head out of here, I'm going to do what I've been wanting to do since I pretty much started this channel. And that's give you guys a quick tour of the building and show you why this space is so cool. It used to be an old car factory back in the day that got slightly upgraded to become a makerspace. And as creepy as it looks, it ended up attracting some really talented people. Aside from our group, which had woodworkers, painters, and a fashion designer, we also had an insane variety of other kinds of artists and makers right outside of our doors that we were able to collaborate with. One of them being our neighbor from across the hall, who was a recording artist, both visual and audio. And I honestly wish that I had a chance to pick his brain a little bit more before he cleared out, because I'm sure that he could have given me some great tips for my videos. It's one of those things that I kept putting off and telling myself I'll do later, and now there's no more later. Now this next room is my favorite. I love Halloween and the spooky season, and this place always hits the spot this time of year. It's super cool and spacious when it's properly lit, so it's ideal for events. But at night, when you turn the lights off, just imagine it. If I ever wanted to have one of those ghost hunting channels, I feel like this building would give me so much material. I could just Photoshop a little face in a corner somewhere, and I feel like that could give you nightmares for at least a couple of nights. There are 4 other floors with rooms just like this, and I do have footage of them that I was planning on showing, but everyone had to leave so quickly during the move that everything is kind of ransacked and looks really post-apocalyptic, so I wouldn't be doing the space justice if I were to show it in this state. But, like I said before, as amazing as the building is, both in terms of the layout and the history, the real heart of what I'll miss the most is the community that we've built. Even though we all kind of had our own things going, we were always able to come together when it really mattered. Like, for example, back in the start of 2020, when COVID hit really hard and a lot of hospitals ran out of protective equipment, one of our shopmates, who makes 3D printed art, stopped his entire business and started making printed PPE shields to donate to hospitals in need. He started out with the goal of making just a few, but then the rest of us joined in to help, and in a few weeks we had an entire production figured out. Even though material was really scarce at the time, and it was really hard to buy pretty much anywhere, one of our members managed to make friends with a nearby distributor that really appreciated our efforts, so they made sure to set aside enough for us so that we could keep our production going. The original goal was to make around 100 shields for the nearby hospitals, but then those doctors ended up telling their friends, who told their friends, who told their friends. And by the time the supply shortage was over, We had been reached out to by several hospitals from across the country and ended up donating a little over 1,500 shields. Don't get me wrong, we almost killed each other a few times during this process. But there is no one I would have rather gone through this with than this group of people. The really sad, almost poetic part of all of this is, like I said at the start, our shop has 10 members and has always maintained 10 members. Even with people leaving and new ones joining throughout the years, we somehow always stuck to that number 10, without even aiming for it. Because of this, we made it into our brand, and the number 10 became our logo. And, as of this November, on the day that we are asked to vacate the building, it will be our 10-year anniversary since we started. Wrapping up the legacy with a 10. Even a cynic like me can appreciate the symbolism on that one. Okay, I recorded this entire voiceover 3 times now, and each time I feel like I'm talking too much, but still somehow not properly conveying everything that I want to mention. I still don't feel like this is a particularly elegant video, but I'm not sure that I can do much better than this, so I'll stick with what I have before I lose my voice and can't record anything at all. I mainly wanted this video to accomplish 2 things. To serve as a FYI update on where my channel is going and what's happening, and also to be like a little thank you to the shop and the people in it that have changed my life. So I hope that those 2 things came across how I intended. And speaking of thank yous, I also want to thank you so much to everyone who stuck with me thus far and supported my channel, whether you did it from the beginning or if you found me yesterday. I promise that I'll do my best to get back up to speed and make more videos so that I can entertain, teach, warn, and do whatever it is that keeps you guys coming back. Because I truly appreciate all of your support. I really don't think I say that enough. And now, I'm going to end this video with my favorite murder elevator. It creaks, it shakes, it makes noises, and it threatens to take you down with it. But it's ours, and I'll miss it. Until next one. Bye. Okay, I do need my camera back though.